Let's bring in former ump who started in 1994 on the AL staff and just retired following the 2022 season. Ted Barrett is joining us, and we're thrilled to have him. And actually, a great way to kick things off, too, is talking about the ump role in brawls. But, Ted, great to have you. Thanks for joining us on the debut show. We're excited to get into things with you. And do you have a brawl story for us? Did you break up any big brawls in life that really stand out to you?
Well, yeah, we had a lot of brawls, and I always kind of enjoyed them. I like getting in the mix a little bit and pushing and shoving, and didn't like writing reports after. Had to go through and figure out who was throwing punches and who was doing what. I was just kind of enjoying it. I should have paid more attention because when it came time to write a report, I didn't know who did what.
Well, Teddy used to spar with like Mike Tyson, right? And now you got the goatee. I mean, you're enjoying this retired life, but I mean, yeah, you enjoyed brawls. You were sparring with Evander Holyfield and George Foreman. I mean, you used to take your tooth out when I'd come up to say hi to you, and you take your tooth out and be like, "I'm ready," and I'm like, "Oh no, here we go, another game." But yeah, of course you enjoyed it.
Yeah, I got my blood flowing a little bit. It's brought a little excitement to the ballpark, and no, it was. I like nice, smooth games. I didn't like when things got chippy and people started. But I did enjoy sometimes because you got big, strong baseball players like you guys, and when I never saw an actual punch during these brawls. Everybody kind of just grabbed and pushed and moved people around, and there wasn't a whole lot of punching going on. But I wasn't there for the brawl you're talking about, but I know there was some genuine animosity going on there. That was a real deal one. That wasn't just. It always cracked me up though when the bullpens jogged in and they met in the field. It's like, you guys want to fight? Why don't you just meet out in the outfield and go at it?
Hey, Dusty Baker always told me, Ted, he said, why don't we do it like hockey and, have the teams kind of separate each other and then just square up one-on-one. And then when you fall down, you yourself can, pick me up most likely and say, hey, man, that was a dumb decision. But on the other hand, I'm talking about ejections. I've been ejected 2 or 3 times in my career, and most likely all of them were deservingly so. But is there like an ejection you could think about where you left after throwing a guy out where he's like, oh my God, like the conversation you had was just hysterical? If there's something you could think of, a manager said something funny, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think first of all, I was watching earlier, and I'm with AJ. What's going on in your life that you're getting ejected from Little League games? I mean, come on, man. I think we need to talk about that a little bit. It's when you say you're backing up little Johnny, showing you got his back, but buy him an ice cream or something. You don't have to go out and yell at him. We got an umpire shortage going on. I got Todd Frazier coming at me. I don't think I'm showing up for the next game. Come on, man.
No, that's on me. I'm going to work on that. I got you. My bad.
All right, appreciate that. But yeah, some of the the ejections were happening. I remember one with Terry Collins when he was with the Angels. I was a young umpire. He's coming out. He's yelling and screaming at me. Of course, the crowd thinks he's really giving it to me, but he's just kind of complaining. He's saying, hey, my pitchers can't get anybody out. My bullpen can't save a game. My hitters can't get on base. You got to run me. I can't watch this anymore. And he throws his hat down, and I run him, and then I almost start laughing. He gets up in my face. He said, don't laugh. Don't laugh. If you do, they'll know what I'm doing, so just go with this. And I was like, wow, that was. I almost turned into a counselor there. He started complaining about his pitching staff and what was going on in his life. So, another time Joe Madden came out to the mound. He was with Tampa, and he was mad over a check swing we didn't call. And I said, hey, that's enough, Joe. Let's move on. And he started again. I said, hey, not another word. And he said, I love you, man. Boom, dumped him. So threw a guy out for saying I love you. That wasn't right on my part. I should have maybe threw another warning in there, but we used to have fun with that.
Actually, AJ, you were just saying to Wayno that you need some love letter poetry advice.
Yeah, Wayno writes love letters to his wife. I'm like, can you send me one over for my wife? And I'll just sign it at the bottom and act like I wrote it and be much better off.
Don't say I love you to Ted Barrett.
Yeah,
I'll throw you out of the damn game.
I didn't mess with Teddy. He's one of the few umpires that was bigger than me, so I don't want to mess with him. We always had a good relationship. Teddy, when I first had you, you had Tim McClellan. It was like you two were always kind of at the hip, right? I mean, you got Tim McClellan, who was like 6'10", and then you had Ted Barrett, the boxer. You're like, I ain't messing with these guys. But you were not on the George Brett game, right? Because Tim McClellan was the home plate umpire for you weren't up yet, right? Or were you there?
No, I wasn't up for the George Brett, but I was with Tim when we had the Sammy Sosa corked bat incident.
Oh, okay, yes.
Yeah. That was I think 2008 and 4 maybe 3, I think. Yeah. So Tim, it's like the cork bats and the pine tar bats. They followed him everywhere. But yeah, I got to work with him. And you remember AJ, and I loved working behind AJ because he always had fun. He had a good time. And Kratzy, he was awesome to work behind. And even though he's a big guy, he'd get both of those guys. They'd get down low and give you a good look, and we'd always have good conversations. And that's the thing I don't think a lot of guys realize is the conversations that go on between umpires and catchers. It's fun stuff. I mean, you're not talking too much about baseball. I mean, we're talking boxing, we're talking about life, we're talking about family. I mean, you're standing right behind a guy for what used to be 3 hours. You might as well get along with them and at least find some common ground.
Hey, well,
Who farted the most?
What's that?
Say it again, Kratzy.
Who farted the most?
Oh my God.
Oh man, I think it was me. I had to apologize a couple times. I think AJ one time went out to the pitcher's mound before they had the 5 pitcher rule and came back. I said, "What was that all about?" He said, "Oh, I just wanted to, I didn't want to crop dust you, so I went out there and talked to the pitcher for a minute."
We'll get into that. So we don't have enough time for that. I think it was in Wrigley. It was in Wrigley Field. And one day we'll get into that, and I'll tell the real story. That was kind of what I told you, but what I told my pitcher was like, if you don't get a double play on this pitch, it was John Danks, I'm going to go on home plate. Not number 1. And the next pitch, he got a double play. And then I had to run the 17 miles up the steps at Wrigley Field.
Wow.
That is
I'm
a
so
true
glad
story.
you got the double play, man.
So, me too, because poor Teddy would have had to call for a hazmat suit. It was bad. One day we'll get into that whole story. We got Ted on. I don't want to get into that right now.
That's
Teddy,
good.
we talk about accountability all the time in baseball and umpiring. I think it's a big thing. I want people to really understand. Basically, say you miss a pitch. It happens. I miss pitches as a player, as a hitter. But is there, that accountability where you were one of the true umpires that basically say, "Hey, man, I missed that." Like, that's something you took to heart. And I know that's definitely for sure. And most of the umpires out there, is there something that you would say, or, would you go back and look on the film? Because I think really fans need to really understand how much you guys put into your job and into your work for sure.
I think this is part of what relationships that we were talking about. If there's a guy that I trusted, maybe, Kratzy's back there and hey, Ted, I thought that was a pretty good pitch. I would, if I trust Kratz to say, "Hey, you might be right. I need to take a better look at that." Some guys, you say that, and then they're going to run and tell the whole dugout what you're talking about in your conversation, and that kind of leads to some chaos. But fans have to remember that they're watching the game on TV, and players are running down the tunnel and looking at the replay with their video technology. And a lot of times, we're the only ones who know that if we're getting a pitch right or wrong. We don't know until after the game when we can take a look at it. So I would ask a catcher, especially in spring training, man, because there's no way to practice 98-mile-an-hour heaters coming to you on the black. So you got to, I would ask a veteran catcher, like, "Hey, am I going too far? Or am I on the corner?" And if it's a guy I trusted, he'd give me some feedback. And then during the season, I definitely would go back after. I think I want people to know how much umpires care about getting stuff right. And we go back and dissect our games, and with the technology that we get, our grading system, if I had a strike 3 on a player and he's upset about it, I will definitely go back and look at it. And then the next day I'll come to him and I'll tell him, "Hey, on our system, I had it off the plate. I went too far. Sorry about that." Or I'd tell him, "Yeah, I looked at it, and on our system it was a strike." So, and guys always appreciated that. But I think when you have trust and a relationship with somebody, you can be a little more open about it. What you can't do is just admit, if you're admitting 20 times a game that you made a mistake, eventually the player is going to go, "All right, we'll quit apologizing and figure it out." So we care about getting the calls right. We lay in bed and everything runs through our mind after a game. It's like, man, I missed that pitch and I got to figure out a way to get it right. So I don't want people to think that we have no accountability. A lot of people think, "Oh, they just do the games, go home, they don't care." We definitely care, and we're accountable for every call that we make.
Teddy, I know you guys care a lot about all the changes going on with the game too. What do you think? But then also, like, what are your friends? Obviously, these guys, you've been around for years. What are they saying? We can go line by line, but first overall on pitch clock, you get the shift restrictions. You got bigger bases, which I feel like, I mean, if you're not in for bigger bases, like not as controversial as the rest. Extra innings now, we're locking in runner on second in extras. Give me your take. You're retired now. Go for it.
Yeah, well, the first thing that you think about when new rules come into play is this is going to be a heck of a lot more work for the umpire. And, for me, I never liked change too much because I liked things to go along smoothly and not have new wrinkles. But, it's funny, whenever a change comes in, right away, I didn't like it. But for example, expanding more wild card games. I'm like, oh, that's going to, but it ends up being good, right? Other changes come along and it ends up working out. So, my hope is all this works out for the advantage. We love quicker games, right? All of us love that. And as umpires, going to get paid by the hour. So, yeah, we want a nice, clean, quick game. Nothing like a nice 2.5 hour ball game and then go to dinner and do your thing. But, it's going to be a lot of work for the guys. And the only way to do this right is for them to start this in spring training. So I'm so happy that they started game one. If there's a violation, we're going to get it because you got to set the tone. You got to make sure everybody's on the same page. So when we get to opening day, hopefully some of the bugs have been worked out. And man, it's pretty intense just from talking to the guys. They say it's like a cardio workout. Someone said it's like a sprint. So baseball working was, especially the bases, always kind of leisurely. I'm talking to Frazier over there at third base. We're having a good time between pitches and laughing and cutting up. They said there's no more of that. You got to get locked in, and here we go. I heard Waino talk about, getting on the mound and pitching and not taking a deep breath even, just getting and going. And so I'm going to like watching the pace of the game and having quicker games, but it's going to be more work for the umpires. They're going to have to they can't relax. I was thinking about this. You're talking about Phillips coming up, tapping shin guards, saying hello. Me being behind AJ or Kratzy, and we're talking. And I think sometimes I was part of the problem because I was talking to the catcher or the hitter as they came up. And there's going to be no more of that. I think so. Like player and umpire relationships, I think they're going to be strained because there's not going to be a whole lot of conversation going on.
Teddy, well, you're one of the best at having feel. Like you're talking about, like there's got to be a feel though, right? For an umpire, like the game that ended in a tie. I know umpires are going to push it hard. It was kind of like stay in the box. That was pushed really hard, or whatever the new rule, the balk rule. Remember Bach and Bob Davidson, where he was calling balks on every single guy every day. Like there's got to be a feel though. Like if you're in the ninth inning, it's a huge situation. The closer's in, one run game. The 3-hole hitter's up with the bases loaded. The guy needs to take a deep breath. They're not going to call it, are they? Or is it just going to be strictly by the rules?
I think right now in spring training, it's going to be strictly by the rules. And then as guys get a feel for it, because this is a learning curve for the umpires too. We hadn't done this before. The guys are going to have to figure this out. So I think the strategy right now is let's call this as close as we can, as strictly as we can in spring training. And then as we develop a feel for this, the guys can start to have some latitude on where they need to maybe give some people some leeway. But if you started out like this and you're really strict, I think then we can go the other way. But, the problem is, like, AJ, when you played and they talked about staying in the box and making sure as soon as the song's over, you get up and get in the box, there was no penalty.
And that's it. Ejected. He's out. Well, here's my thing, and we'll get him back in a second. I mean, this is going to happen all the time. This is
he's great.
They don't have. He is great. He doesn't have the Wi-Fi like we do. But Frazier's using up half of his jersey. Electric there with the neons. Hey, he's back. All right, Teddy, keep going.
Yeah. So, lost my train of thought, but we're going to call it strictly now, and then hopefully things loosen up during the season as they get a feel for it, I think that's what we were talking about.
Yeah. Hey, Teddy, what's your favorite umpires room? Because for people out there that have never been, if you haven't been in an umpire's locker room, they've got every snack, every drink, every piece of candy, everything. So what was your favorite locker room. And if you say Texas and Hoggy, we're going to black you out again.
Well, that's immediately came to my mind, Texas and Hoggy, but and then Houston, Texas got great barbecue, man. The brisket's unbelievable. So I mean, so many good rooms. But I think it was San Francisco when they built the ballpark, they forgot to put an umpire locker room in. I think they called it the afterthought room. So we got this little closet there, so you got a nice, beautiful stadium with a little closet. But some of the rooms are huge. DC, when they made the new one, they did it right. Like AJ said, man, it's like you look at us. That's why we're not, exactly on the cover of muscle magazines, because we're in there eating candy and everything you want. But no, the food's gotten better and we're eating healthier now. And all the locker rooms we've got great locker room attendants. This is what I'm going to miss. My wife, she's not going to have my laundry hung up and my dry cleaning and have a meal for me before, during, and after the game. So I'll miss that part of it. And, you walk into a locker room, we're probably playing spades. That's how we got ready for the games. And I'm going to miss that, sitting around playing some cards and busting chops. I was one of the worst spade players, but I had a lot of fun.
Teddy, real question for you. AJ was talking about big spots with the pitch clock. When you're in a perfect game, let's say you're in a perfect game with a pitch clock, when are you noticing that you're in a perfect game? Because you've been part of a few of them.
Yeah, it's funny. With 1999, I got to work David Cohn's perfect game, and I looked up in about the 7th or 8th inning, and I saw he hadn't given up a hit. But I'm trying to remember, was there a walk? Was there a double play? Was there a pickoff? And, I honestly couldn't remember. You get so locked in, as you guys know. People probably are like, how do you not know? But you're locked in just trying to get every pitch right. And so when I walked off the field, Chuck Merriweather, as AJ, I was with him and Tim. He added to the height of our NBA crew there. He was about 6'7". I said, Chuck, was that a perfect game? He said, yeah, it was. Now I'll go to 2012. I'm behind the plate for Matt Cain's game. I think after the 3rd inning, I saw he had a perfect game. And from there on out, I knew every batter that he had a perfect game going. I was over third base for Philip Humber's game. And to be on the field for 3 perfect games was crazy. I mean, it's like I caught lightning in a bottle 3 times.
Yeah, the mask in front of me is from Philip Humber's perfect game. Probably the most unbelievable perfect game from someone that really pitched. I mean, I love Phil, but he threw 1 game in his life. And Runge, I still love you, Brian Runge, wherever you are. Thank you for calling that check swing on Brendan Ryan.
That's this?
Yeah, that's the Philip Humber. It's hard to see, but you can just see it in the front of me. That's the White Sox bronzed the mask for me from that in Seattle. And I forgot you were on that crew, Teddy.
Yeah, I was over third base, and it was. That was
the easiest perfect game I've ever seen. Like, there was not even a ball hit remotely hard. It was like weak fly ball, ground ball, strikeout. There was nothing no play where you're like, oh, Matt Cain had the one where the guy made the diving catch, right? There was nothing. It was he just cruised through 27 outs. It was unbelievable. Yeah,
it was pretty crazy. And, Marvin Hudson was over at first base, and, Brian called the check swing. But if he'd have went for Marvin for help, Marvin would have called it. He said after the game, he said, yeah, I was calling that if you didn't. So I know the guys were over in Seattle were upset that he called that check swing. But, man, to be on the field for that, AJ, is that one of the most surreal things to catch a perfect game, man?
Well, no, so Teddy, Burley, you've been for 3, I've seen 2, and Burley threw his in Chicago, and I wasn't catching. So Burley was making fun of me that I wasn't catching. So I got to watch it from the bench. And then to get to, 2 years later or whatever it was, to get to see one, the first text was from Burley saying, congratulations, you got your perfect game.
Not see one, you caught one.
Yeah. But I got to see one, and then I got to catch one. Right. But but the umpires are a huge part of it. And that day, Runge, love him, God bless him. He called that check swing because I clanked the ball and I had to go chase it. So thank God Brandon Ryan argued, because otherwise I would have gone down in infamy as costing Philip Humber his moment in glory.
That's right. And, with Burley, Eric Cooper worked the plate in his perfect game. And you're talking about, your center fielder made an unbelievable catch in that game. And so Coop was behind the plate, but then Eric Cooper was also behind the plate when Burley threw a no-hitter. So, You know, we lost Eric Cooper a few years ago. He was a great umpire, but I was like, hey, what do you and Burley got going on? I mean,
well, they had the same number.
No hitters.
Same number.
That's right. It was 56, right?
Yeah. So if you look at what's amazing, you look at those two games, is Cooper was behind the plate. They're both 56. The time of game was exactly the same. Both games he faced 27 hitters because he walked Sammy Sosa, picked him off before he threw another pitch. Like everything was like exactly the same with Eric Cooper behind the plate.
That's crazy. And you know, with Burley, he'd have had no problem with these pitch timing regulations. I mean, he'd have been well under the clock. He didn't have to. This would not have been a change that he would have sweated at all.
I think he might have created this.
I wish.
Right?
Teddy, why does it seem like in these perfect games as a hitter, man, the zone just gets bigger and bigger if you're behind the plate? I always get so confused why that happens from like the fifth inning on. I'm just curious.
Well, you know, you don't want to be the guy that calls ball 4 on a pitch that's a quarter inch outside and costs the guy a perfect game. Come on, I mean, if there's doubt in your mind, I think you're going to give the benefit of the doubt to the pitcher, right? I mean, and you know, this is something that if we end up getting an ABS system that calls balls and strikes, and we're just getting it in the earpiece, I don't know, man. It's like we got a perfect game going here. Let's that pitch might be 1/8 of an inch outside, but to me, we got to give that to the pitcher. I'm retired now. I can say that.
Hey,
bringing them up, baby. I know.
Teddy,
I've been a part of it.
Teddy, don't ask Ron Kolpa. He threw me out when Darvish was throwing a perfect game for not calling one. So trust me, Ron Kolpa didn't give a flying you know what about that perfect game because he ejected me for arguing.
Man, you know, Ronnie's just trying to get it right? You know, they asked Bruce Fremming. I think it was Milt Pappas or someone back in the old days, and Fremming balled a 3-2 pitch, and they said to him, man, Bruce, you could have been the 7th guy to call a perfect game behind the plate. He said, name one of the other 6. I mean, so, you know, Bruce didn't care. But
hey, Ted, before you bounce, just on the ABS, which is, you know, automatic balls and strikes for fans. Yeah, AJ's putting his thumb down. What are your thoughts? And I know they've also messed around with, so you get ball or strike in your ear and you call it, but also they've messed around with, hey, do you have some challenges that you throw out there, you know, say 3 a game where you can say, nah, I don't like that one. Let's get the ABS system to check it, which, I mean, I like everything to be right because I'm like, there's so much money on the line for a lot of people, even people that aren't playing nowadays. But, you know, and if there's such a bad call, you do want that to get fixed. Always like ingrained in my head was before we had instant replay review, was I think it was Helton at first. I mean, there's been a lot of plays, and he was faking because he was like 3 feet off the bag, and he faked that he caught it, and the ump called him out, whoever was running to first base. So anyway, I just visualized this. I mean, calling enough games in my life, sometimes there are some bad calls. Guys miss badly. So I do like the system. AJ, I mean, you like that? You don't even like that part? Like being able to challenge if it's a really bad call?
I hate the robot balls and strikes, Teddy. I want the relationship. I want the guy, like you said, perfect game. Know the situation. Have some feel.
What if he fucks up and it costs you the World Series? Whatever. No, dude, you're
chin up. I mean, I'm going to argue, but I'm keeping my chin up.
We're going number 2 on the plate.
The human element, man. I love the human element about it. That we could talk to Teddy. And I see every time I saw Teddy, I give him one of these, and he'd give it to me back. You know, that was our hello. Like people don't see that at all. And he give me the head nod, like let's go. You know, we battle each other. That's the human element of baseball that we still need and love. And these umpires are working their tails off, you know, in minivans, driving 14 hours in the minor leagues to get to a ballpark. I mean, that's what people need to understand. It's a job, man, and it's tough. So I was hard on the umpires. Don't get me wrong. I love them all. But, you know, talking to Teddy, this is real life. This is the human element, and we love every second about it.
Yeah, you know, guys, one thing about the replay when it came in on the bases, once again, I was like, I'm a baseball purist, so I'm like, I didn't want this. But it ended up being a good thing because you got Jimmy Joyce, one of the great guys. You guys know that. One of the great all-time umpires, and he's known as costing Armando Galarraga a perfect game on the last at-bat. Calls the guy safe when he was out. If we had replay there, we could have fixed it. But now we've got it's the Jimmy Joyce play. You go back to the 85 World Series, Don Denkinger, Royals Cardinals. It's the Don Denkinger play. You know, our goal as umpires is to not have a play named after us. And at least now that, you know, the guys go out in the World Series, and if they have a mistake, which happens, it can get fixed on the bases. Behind the plate, though, this is a little bit different. To me, it's like if you want to use the ABS and you get it to where it's calling better than we are and you want to use it, I'm kind of an all or nothing guy. If you want to do that, go ahead and do it. But I don't like the challenge where we use it sometimes because, they've got their zone. The umpire behind the plate's got his zone. You're trying to get it synced up. But, yeah, I'm like AJ with, I find myself agreeing with AJ on a lot of stuff. This is pretty cool. This is a whole different thing. But
Hey, you never got me. You never ran me. You never ran
I didn't.
me.
No, seriously, I love being behind. Here's the thing. I don't mean to get on a soapbox, but here's what I loved about AJ. I knew when I got behind him, we were going to have fun. And he might be a pain or, he might do something, but he was going to have a good time. I didn't like going out on the field and have everybody just grinding like crazy. Even Todd, as he'd argue once in a while, he's laughing, he's joking, he's saying something. Kratzy was always, we're always encouraging each other and lifting each other up. But, man, the guys they're just out there grinding. I'm like, man, you're playing a game. You're making a lot of money. I get it. I get the pressure. I know the guy that signs a multi-million-dollar deal. He wants to produce. He wants to make people believe that he's worth what he's doing. He wants to win for his team. But, man, guys got to have fun. And you guys had fun. And that's why it's so cool to come on and talk to you.
No, we appreciate it. We'll definitely want to have you on again. So this was awesome. And I want to finish with this because we know you're super involved. And I'm imagining maybe more so than ever now that you're retired and not running around to different ballparks all summer long. Ump Cares, you've been a part of that for a long time. So is there anything we should know about or keep an eye on for the summer or where we can go? I know that you've been involved with that charity for a long time, right?
Yeah, Umps Care is a great charity, man. We do a lot of things, especially for kids. We got some college scholarships going now for kids that came up through adoption and hospital visits. One of the worst things was COVID wiped that out for a little bit. We're back going into the hospitals. Umpscare.com, you can check it out. We have a golf tournament. Come on out and play with us in January. We just had our most recent one. And also we do some cool auction stuff. Keep an eye on MLB.com will advertise for us. But if you go to umpscare.com, you'll see some cool auction stuff. Also, I'm working with a group called Freedom's Rest. It's a Wounded Warrior project down there, Tampa, down your neck of the woods, AJ. I can talk more about that next time. But, got to support our guys that went out and fought for us and are back home now getting back into society. So, man, I love coming on and talking with you guys. I'd love to do it again if you'd have me. And, man, let's have a great 2023 season.
Hell yeah. Thanks for joining the maiden voyage here. Debut show, Ted. It was really fun. Appreciate it. And enjoy the rest of the day, and we'll bring you on again soon.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it. And, man, Wayno's number one. I could live with that. Me being number two. This is awesome. This is going to my Wikipedia page.
Hell yeah. This is going to be somewhat of the order. It's like Wayno 1, Ted Barrett 2. I think we got like Correa, Corbin Burns, Max Scherzer, Andres Jimenez. So good to have you in the mix with those guys. Not bad.
That's high company right there, man. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Ted. Great having you. We'll talk soon.
All right. See you guys.
Thanks, Teddy.
Appreciate you, Teddy.
Nice.
Hey, he mentioned Wikipedia page, umpires.